Hi and welcome to Zed Games. Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios in Brisbane and broadcast nationally over the Community Radio Network, Zed Games brings you the latest gaming news, reviews and interviews from across Australia and around the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting and, in this case, a very, very intimate episode of Zed Games, Australia's most beloved and definitely handsomest gamer radio station. Joining me in the studio, the only other person in here, is Razor.
Hello.
Who is in charge of things.
Definitely.
That's him. And I'm Lee. No one else is here, Ray.
That's right. I guess we're the dynamic duo.
That's correct.
What are some of the best duos in video game history? There's Sonic and Tails.
No.
Ratchet and Clank. Kane and Lynch. Mario and Luigi.
Yep. Did Crash Bandicoot hang out with anyone?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Jack and Daxter.
There's one.
Yep. And then Razor and Lee.
Yeah. There's some good company. So anyway.
Yes, anyway.
We have a radio show.
Indeed. Flappy Bird is big in the headlines now.
Isn't it just?
Yep. The mobile game from a previously unknown Vietnamese creator. Mm-hmm. It's gone viral and there's a huge story surrounding it. So Lee's going to give his verdict on the game itself, which is currently unavailable, unfortunately. So you'll have to get it by other means.
You'll essentially have to have already acquired it in order to appreciate this review. So
yeah.
It's very useful for you.
We'll also be providing some of the background behind the circumstances around the game. And also we'll be talking about OlliOlli, which is a skateboarding game for the PS Vita. But shall we kick this episode of Zed Games off with the weekend gaming news headlines, Lee?
Yes, why not? If you would provide me with some sort of news theme there, Ray. You got anything?
This is Zed Games News, presented by Mr. Lee.
That's pretty good. I'll take that. Mamoru Samuragochi, the Japanese composer of Resident Evil and Onimusha, also known as Japan's Beethoven, has been revealed as a fraud. For 17 years, Samuragochi hired a ghostwriter to compose the music while he accepted the accolades. Astonishingly, Samuragochi, who was compared to Beethoven because he had lost his hearing, may not even be deaf, which is wonderful. Takashi Nagaki, who was the real composer, has stated that he was paid around Australian $75,000 to compose 20 pieces over the 17-year period, including what was known as his magnum opus, Hiroshima Symphony, a tribute to the lives lost during the 1945 atomic bomb explosion.
Wow, this is something else.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, imagine living for 17 years and knowing that all of these accolades that were being thrust upon you were just false.
Yeah.
That you were just scamming the world.
He's right up there with Milli Vanilli right now.
Secondly, a Kickstarter campaign for Minecraft-inspired fan film has been shut down after the creator was found not to have gained permission from Mojang to use their property. Brandon Latch, a YouTube creator that has made several popular Minecraft-related videos, started the campaign, which had a target of $600,000. The project was titled Birth of Man and had already received $60,000 in pledges in the 24 hours before it was cancelled. No official word has been given from either Mojang or Latch, but earlier Minecraft creator Notch tweeted, "We don't allow $500,000 Kickstarters based on our IP without any deals in place."
It is kind of presumptuous to ask for $500,000 to make a movie based on someone else's intellectual property.
I agree.
Razor, this has given me an amazing idea.
What's that?
You and I should ask for $750,000 to produce a film based on Minecraft.
How's that going to work?
Seems like there's a lot of money in it.
There's a crapload of money in Minecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Let's not use Kickstarter, because if you fail, you have to give the money back. Let's use Indiegogo, where you can just keep the money.
And then run away?
Yes. And then we run away.
Like Ghosts in the Night?
That is essentially what I'm asking.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Listeners, if you'd like to pledge to this project, as you've heard, it's quite a worthy one.
Yeah.
We're totally reliable and responsible. We'll put the link up on our Facebook page, I guess.
Yes. Once we have been discovered to be the frauds that we are, if you have a place where we can lie low, please also post that location on our Facebook.
You're listening to Zed Games, the video game radio show. Flappy Bird is a 2D side-scrolling game in which you're a bird that has to jump through pipes, and it has garnered a large amount of controversy over the last few days. It was removed by its creator 2 days ago, but that was despite it being at the peak of its popularity, and some people have been saying it's been earning up to $50,000 a day in revenue. This is, of course, a huge deal because its creator, Dong Nguyen, is from Vietnam, in which the median annual salary is $13,000.
Huh.
So there's a story here.
Yes.
Lee, you've been playing the game, and I've heard that you've been enjoying it.
Yeah, it was first brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago because it was released late last year, and people suddenly sort of got into it because there were a number of articles. There were some Wired articles, I think, saying, this is a terrible game. This is a really dumb game, but I can't stop playing it. So it is a very dumb game. And I say that with only love in my heart, because you are a big, fat, ridiculous-looking bird who is incredibly clumsy, and you are, working your way through a series of pipes that, are evenly spaced but are at random heights, and so you have to figure out how your touches will, translate into the flaps that you need to work your way through this maze of pipes. There's nothing going on there as far as gameplay, apart from the fact that it is obscenely hard. You were playing it, Ray.
Yeah. So your score is measured in how many pipes that you pass through.
Yes.
And that's basically it. Your best score sits at the top of the screen, and you have to beat it. And there is no online leaderboards or anything. You have to sort of compare with your friends the old-fashioned way by, posting a screenshot or bragging about it or whatever.
What's your best, Ray?
My best is 6.
Okay.
And, it took me quite a while just to get 1.
Yeah.
To pass my first pipe, because you really have to learn the arc of the bird. I felt like when I lost, it was because it was my fault.
Yeah.
But I was still mad. And I knew that the sort of the mistakes I made could be measured in fractions of a second.
Yeah, it it doesn't make me mad, but it makes me just laugh uncontrollably every time I play it. When I first started playing, I was just chuckling constantly, regardless of what was happening, because there's just something about the combination of the art that's going on here. The noise that the game makes when, you inevitably hit a pipe, and the way he just falls beak first down into the ground. It all just... There's something really charming about it. It's so simple. It's almost ugly. There's a sublimeness to it that I can't quite put my finger on, I think.
Speaking of the art, it has to be noted that some of the elements, most notably the pipes, are borrowed from Super Mario Brothers.
Well, they're not borrowed from. There are green pipes that are a major element of the game, and there are green pipes in Mario games.
Yep.
Whether you should get upset over that fact is up to you, but I would say maybe you shouldn't.
It's not a coincidence, though, because the bird itself, the Flappy Bird of the title, is an amalgam of 2 creatures from the Super Mario Brothers universe.
We're talking about, this is an 8-bit pixel art style, and I actually think that, when you are dealing with such a limited palette, and when you're dealing with such big elements as, a chunky 8-bit pixels, you are going to find yourself in familiar territory. I mean, he's obviously doing an homage to the 8-bit era, and I think that the claims that people are leveling at him as far as thievery, I think that's embarrassing, because it's homage, certainly, and it's an art style that references 30-year-old games, but that's what modern art is these days. We're a radio station, and I think that, music is a prime example of, that kind of thing where contemporary art tends to refer to art that came before it, particularly if it's something that is trying to emulate the style of that era.
Even though that's your opinion, Lee, there are many others that disagree.
Yes.
For some reason, they're angry at the creator of this game for being successful, and he is hugely successful, while at the same time, I guess, borrowing stylistic elements from Super Mario Brothers. I guess the fact that he that it's not a completely original work, and the fact that it's really successful kind of makes
what
people
is it?
mad.
Okay, no, let's unpack that though, Razor. What about it is not a completely original work? I mean, he drew the pipes himself. He didn't take them from the game. Those are pipes. They're not. If you have a look at those pipes, compare them to all the pipes of the Mario games.
They're not exactly identical.
The shading is differently. The lip shape is different. They're green pipes.
The origin is quite obvious, though, to anyone who's played the Super Mario Brothers.
So again, you're saying that this is a 30-year-old game now, and we're a sophisticated art form. Are you saying that no one can have green pipes?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm just simply providing the counter-argument.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand, these hordes of people on the internet that went after this guy because he received a barrage of hate.
All right. When we talk about these
messages.
hordes, we're talking about idiots, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
People who don't really put much thought about, think about other people's feelings.
The kind of people who, put death threats on Twitter because a bird game is, either doing well or looks like something else are not the kind of people whose opinion we should be really putting much weight on, I think.
Yep. But the fact that, there are hundreds of thousands of people doing it, it should be mentioned.
It should, yes,
Now,
as a tragedy.
Yeah, look, I don't want to point the finger too much, but there was an article on popular gaming blog Kotaku that came up last week that leveled the charge that this game had ripped off, directly ripped off assets from Super Mario Brothers, which isn't true. He actually redesigned the pipes.
No, he drew this art himself.
Yep. And that, I think, prompted at least one onslaught of these idiots attacking him personally on Twitter. If you go have a look at his Twitter account, then you can see that there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people.
Easily thousands at this
with
point.
the most disgusting messages personally attacking him. And eventually, I think it got too much for him because he did tweet over the weekend, and I'll paraphrase because I don't have the quote here, something like, it's all too much for me, I'm taking the game down in 22 hours, which he did. Now, some people have been questioning whether this was some sort of genius publicity ploy to sort of spike the number of downloads or whether he was actually upset. He didn't really elaborate beyond that, so people were speculating as to why he may have done this, when it seems sort of a bit foolish because it's generating a huge amount of revenue, as we said, $50,000 a day.
Yes.
Why on earth would anyone turn down that amount of money?
That's the question. I guess you and I are in no position to speculate this because we receive absolutely no messages through social media. But I would imagine that if your Twitter feed and your email was a constant barrage, an endless flood of toxic bile, you would probably, have some problems with that. That would be a difficult thing to deal with as a human being. And $50,000 a day is great, but if all you hear when you go outside is hatred directed at you unfairly, I would possibly switch out the lights as well.
Now, there is more to this story. Just today, Dong Nguyen, who is a creator of Flappy Bird, spoke with Forbes in his only statement, I guess, since he took the game down. So we might head to a track now and talk about that when we return on Zed Games. We have been talking about Flappy Bird, which is a 2D side-scrolling birdie simulator.
Yeah, you're a bird. It's a plummeting bird simulator, I think is probably the best description.
Notable for its infuriatingly difficult gameplay.
Yes.
So we discussed about how Dong Nguyen, who is the creator, got obscenely rich but decided to take the game down anyway. Today he published a statement about why he did so. Lee.
Yeah, well, he was saying that in the end he determined that it was far too addicting a game, that people were obsessing over it, which is why he took it down. He thought that was very unhealthy. And if you have a look back through his social media interaction before this shitstorm, I guess I think is the best word for it, hit him, he used to be quite friendly and fun about it when people would say, I hate this game, I can't stop playing it. He'd be like, well, look, you should stop playing it. Don't obsess over it. Go and do something else and then come back and enjoy it. That was, one of the things that makes it, a successful phone game, I think, is the fact that it does play really well in really, really short bursts. And it is a terrible, terrible thing if you were to play it in extended periods and get obsessed over it. So he thought that was a bit much. Or at least that's his official story. There were rumors originally that he'd received a cease and desist from Nintendo, but he denied that, and Nintendo have also said that they're not in the habit of getting litigious in those sort of circumstances. They have no problem with Flappy Bird. And they invented green pipes, I'll have you know.
Yeah.
So, if they're okay with it, then I think there are a lot of plumbers around the world right now who are breathing a sigh of relief. Ninja Turtle playsets also fine now.
Now, I've heard stories about people listing their iPhones on eBay with the main selling point being that Flappy Bird is installed on it, of course, because it's no longer available and it's rare.
Yeah.
People think that other people will pay maybe like $10,000 for this iPhone.
Yeah, when the story, when this sort of floated around, it was initially, the first one I saw was $700, and I went, ha, that's crazy. Why would anyone ask that much? And now there's one going for $10,000. So that's amazing. I really wish that I had installed it on my old iPhone.
Look, 50 million people have downloaded it, so it's not exactly rare.
Yeah.
All of the auctions have been taken down by eBay because according to their terms and conditions of using the website, you have to flash the phone back to factory settings before you can sell it. All of those people are going to have to find some income elsewhere.
That's a good loophole, though. That's a good one.
I guess the big question is he an accidental hero or marketing genius? What do you think, Lee?
I think that he is a very clever designer who has a really great streamlined aesthetic, and I think that this was a total fluke. I think it's a fluke in that it should not have received this attention. It's a great game, but this is madness.
Yeah, I don't think that the circumstances surrounding this game could ever be repeated intentionally.
Yeah. And people are going to try. That's the worst part.
Well, I mean, you've already seen dozens and dozens of Flappy Bird clones on the app stores, hoping to repeat the success, but I mean, there can only be one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually, once we destroy all those other phones, there will only be one. And then it'll be my phone.
Yeah.
And it will actually be worth the $10,000 that I'm going to sell it.
One good thing that has come out of it, besides the creator, Dong Nguyen, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he's probably set for life, is that the fact that his follow-up game is going to have a lot of attention on it. There's going to be a spotlight on it. Yeah. So we'll see if this is more like Gangnam Style, or if this is just like the start of this guy's like incredible gaming journey.
Well, Minecraft was once, a game that accidentally got leaked to the world and then earned notched $300,000 over a weekend. So, yeah, it could well be that this is the start of something really big, or maybe this is just really, really weird and won't happen again. Okay,
you're listening to Zed Games. We're going to head to a track now. But we have been talking about Flappy Bird, which is currently unavailable for iOS and Android, although if you're an Android user, I've heard you can use some dubious methods to attain this game, and I'll leave it at that.
You're listening to Zed Games, heard across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
Razor, you've been playing a little bit of a skateboarding game on your PS Vita.
It's called OlliOlli. It seems simple at first. It appears as though it's an endless runner. It has many elements from that genre, so think of something like Jetpack Joyride or one of those. But you're on a skateboard, and as we know, skateboarding and video games go together like cheese and wine. Tony Hawk series from the 90s comes to mind. So it's a 2D style where you're a little skateboarding dude who goes from left to right, and basically you jump up on rails to grind or jump over stairs to do tricks.
Right.
And that is basically the long and short of it. It's very easy to pick up. So what happens, it has quite an almost counterintuitive play style. You use the left stick and the X button, and those are basically the only two buttons you'll ever need.
Yeah.
X will let you pump up to gain speed.
I believe it's known as kicking.
Kicking, that's right. Yep, I'm down with the skating lingo.
Yep.
And you hold the left directional stick in a direction, and then you release it to jump.
Right.
And then when you land, you have to either push X if you're landing on the ground, or you can push the left stick in again to grind. And that you can do that in any direction. You rotate the stick to perform various tricks and moves. Very simple to pick up and play, but very hard to master. The big thing here is flow and timing.
Right.
If you get a grind right on the money, so you hit that stick right as you land, you'll get a perfect bonus. And if you're a bit early, you'll still make it.
What happens when you get the perfect bonus?
The screen flashes green and you get big points.
So it feels good.
It feels very good. So stringing these together actually releases like a large amount of dopamine.
Have you measured this?
No, but
Can we hook you up to something in this studio right now? Perhaps.
I don't think so.
There are wires here, and there are dials and gauges. Listeners, if you would want to tweet at us, if you want me to plug things into Ray to measure his dopamine levels, fire away.
Look, I actually believe that playing this game, my perception of time changes. Time isn't a constant, as Einstein said, it's relative.
Right.
So I believe when I'm playing this, in those little tiny moments, those split seconds between grinds, they seem to go on forever. And I don't know if I'm just like crazy or something, but my perception of time warps when I'm playing this game.
So you're seeing the fly hovering slowly in midair and watching its wings.
Kind of, something like that.
Yeah.
There's added pressure in this game because you only get one life. If you stack it, you have to restart. And you can restart it any time you like because there's a huge yellow button in the top left, and it's very tempting there. If you do something a bit dodgy, you just hit that, and there's no delay. You just take it back to the start of the level to replay it.
So there's an emphasis there on perfection.
Yeah. So you sort of have to risk a little bit by delaying your button push to get that perfect. If you are a bit late, then you'll stack it and have to retry the level again. So there's a lot of risk versus reward like that. Each level, there are 5 missions to do, just like in the old Tony Hawk days where you had sort of these missions within the level.
Yep.
And this could be attaining a certain amount of points, getting a grind of a certain level, doing a particular trick, or collecting objects that are scattered throughout the level. All you have to do to progress is to get to the end and you've unlocked the next level. So if you want, you can move through the levels really quickly, but I think that most players will want to replay each level to finish all the missions and to get the maximum amount of score. The music is notable, is very good. It's on a loop, so each level doesn't have its own unique track. It's kind of just a playlist of 20 that keeps going in a rotation. And this is very important for the replay value of each try, I guess, because if the music reset itself every time you retry a mission, it would be super annoying.
You would want to kill yourself.
And basically. Another big thing is the daily grind. This is kind of like Spelunky's mission a day kind of thing. There's one course that's specific for that day and everyone gets to do it. You can practice it as many times as you want, but you only get one proper try. It's a global leaderboard, and whoever gets the highest score on that day, it gets presumably the glory that goes with being at the top of the leaderboard.
That's a recurring element that I'm seeing in a lot of games now. You mentioned Spelunky, but there are a few other things that are certainly working that in. How have you responded to that, Ray?
I've only done it a couple of times, but it's
Did
really
you win?
No. Hell no.
So you're not the best?
Not by a long shot. I've noticed that...
Why do you have a radio show then?
I don't know. I never claimed to be the best at OlliOlli.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not. This radio show is not called Razor is the best at OlliOlli, and that's my defense.
Okay.
Yeah, look, it's quite tense when you do the actual run, because, if you stack it, your points get counted, and that's it. So, yeah, there's a lot of pressure there to perform.
All right. How close are you? You're like top 3, right?
Top 3, I wish.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I
10?
suck. I don't know how these people do it, man. Like, I get a score of like 13,000. I'm like, that's pretty good. But then I see the top one is 880,000. And I wonder, how the hell did someone actually achieve that?
This takes me back to our days of Dust Force when, for a brief moment there, you and I were in the top 10 of the leaderboards for a couple levels.
Yeah, that was before the public release of the game.
That is exactly it, yes. We were playing against other games journalists.
Yeah, but you mentioned Dust Force, and this game does have a lot of elements from that game. The sort of the perfection and the the fact that you're playing for top score and you know the leaderboards and all that.
Also the fact that the music is designed to keep you from going crazy every time you repeat it, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, so this game, it's really good because it's good in short bursts. You can just do a couple of runs to fill in time while you're at the bus stop or if you're on public transport or whatever. But then the more you play it, the more rewarding it is. And you can really play it for anywhere between 2 minutes and an hour. And that's why it's perfect for the PS Vita, the handheld.
All right.
So that is OlliOlli. It's available for the PS Vita now for around $15. Definitely check it out. Gets the Razer stamp of approval. Anyway, you're listening to Zed Games, and this week marks the inaugural edition of Zeditorial, which is a new segment that we're kicking off and may continue depending on how this one goes. So the gist of it is I'm going to give Lee 5 or so minutes to complain about whatever the heck he wants, and I'm not going to interrupt him, really.
Not at all?
Yeah.
This is a banter-based program.
Okay, well, maybe if you say something terribly offensive, I'll step in. But basically, the air is yours. Lee, what would you like to discuss today?
Well, I did say that I was going to talk about the art style in Sonic Boom, but I'm actually going to instead use this 7 minutes to just berate Ray on air for free. He's not going to do anything, just sitting there. No, I won't do that. Tempting as it is. So Sega recently announced some a couple things on the Sonic the Hedgehog front. Sonic being, for a long time, their anemic mascot, I guess.
Sonic the Hedgehog has a huge history. It rivals that of Mario.
Well, yes. Yeah. I mean, that was the reason why I bought my Sega Master System and then Mega Drive as a youth, because I wanted to play Sonic the Hedgehog. I had seen the previews in Computer and Video Games magazine, and I liked the cut of that blue hedgehog's jib, and I was right to, because those were some fantastic games.
Just while we're reminiscing, Sonic the Hedgehog 2,
yeah,
that was the game that I loved. I mean, it introduced Tails,
yeah.
So me and my little brother could play together.
Yep.
Although Tails, whoever was playing Tails got shortchanged a lot because he'd fly off and do his own thing.
He was little brother mode,
Yeah.
We all had that friend who had to play as Tails.
Yep.
And maybe sometimes they thought it was okay, and there were other times where they got kind of pissed off about barely playing a real role in the game. But sorry, Michael, I'm so sorry.
Unfortunately, though, the last few Sonic games of the last few years haven't been up to scratch.
By last few, you mean everything that came out after the Mega Drive ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was good.
Yes.
I think that was the one that Knuckles was introduced.
Yeah, and then there was Sonic and Knuckles, which was the cartridge that you could plug other cartridges into.
Oh, yeah.
That was okay. Everything after that has been a terrible Sonic the Hedgehog time.
Yep.
But people still love them, and they still love him, because look at him, a little blue guy, interesting cast, up to a point.
Yeah, I'm willing to give Sonic the Hedgehog a fair shake.
Yeah, but Sega clearly aren't, because they just keep doing terrible things to him. So they've announced that there's going to be a new animated series called Sonic Boom! There's going to be a new video game called Sonic Boom! And we have seen the art style from Sonic Boom! And bits of it are interesting, but a lot of it just seems to be a bit too... It looks like someone's remix that they have done for Tumblr is what it looks like to me, because rather than paring the concept down to its core, which is what you need to do with a mascot style character with concept design, they've just added extraneous elements. Sonic has a scarf for some reason. Why is he wearing a scarf, Ray? Why?
To keep his neck warm would be, I guess, the most immediate answer.
Yeah, it's kind of inexplicable. They've given Tails, who was already kind of annoying a little bit, he's got goggles now and a little tool belt. What is happening here? He's apparently a pilot, which is also a little unnecessary. I know he had the plane at the end of Sonic 2.
But Tails...
He can fly!
Yeah, but, I mean...
He can fly! Why is he a pilot?
Well, pilots fly, isn't that what they do?
He can fly of his own accord without the need of a machine to assist him.
Yeah, quite slowly, though.
Well, the point of the matter is, Superman didn't get around in a jet.
Okay. Point taken.
The new art style, I'm really open to Sega attempting to find a new angle for Sonic, because clearly everyone that they've taken these last couple of years has kind of failed on some level, but this is just almost amateurish in the way that they have just thrown some of these elements together. They're all like wrapped up in bandages. I thought that the modern reimagining with his like crazy over the top sneakers that they seem to keep adding details to each time is already unnecessary, and now they're really overloading it. It's really top heavy design, but it doesn't really add anything to the charm of the character.
What about Knuckles' redesign? Previously he was comparable in size to Sonic, except he was maroon instead of blue.
He's pink.
Pink?
Yeah. No, he's red. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, red. A few more spikes here and there, but largely the same.
Yeah.
He seems to have taken a growth spurt or something.
Bro definitely lifts. Yeah, no, he's bulky now. I actually don't mind that as an idea, because Knuckles is supposed to be, apparently, he's a bruiser. He used to punch things and climb walls. And I think that the way that they have altered his silhouette there makes sense. You immediately understand what his character type is there. They haven't, really messed around with the character too much beyond that. So I think that big hulking Knuckles works. I think that is a design element that works, and I'm down with that. There's also Amy, who is also a hedgehog. I don't know what her deal is. She was never in any of the games that I played. I've never understood why Sonic has a pink girlfriend with a hammer. This is not the most highbrow conversation we have had on the radio.
Not by far.
I don't care for this character in general.
Is it Sonic Boom, which is the title of this new spin-off?
Yeah.
Is this how Sonic's going to be for good, or is this just like an alternate universe Sonic?
It's a good question. I mean, it's reimagining Sonic for TV, so I doubt it's going to last. It'll probably last as long as this TV show does. And there have been Sonic TV shows in the past, and they have all been terrible.
Yeah. Although, as a bit of trivia, and I've been withholding this bit of trivia for a long time until the right moment, and I believe this is the right moment. The original Sonic the Hedgehog was voiced by the same guy who played Steve Urkel in Family
White.
Matters.
Yes. I don't know whether they've got Jaleel White back on this. One can only hope.
I really doubt it. What happened to that guy?
He has a TV show now.
Oh.
On the, I think it's on the Sci-Fi Network, actually.
Okay.
Yes. Beyond that, I don't know. I don't know if he's still playing a nerd or a hedgehog in that show.
I'm going to go ahead and look that up later.
Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Yeah. No, look, this is just yet another ridiculous misstep in a long line for Sega. Every time they almost land on an element that works in a Sonic game, they decide that they're going to throw the entire design out and start again. This is just one thing past Werewolf Sonic and that weird Sonic who had those strange, colourful alien friends, and the Sonic that kissed that human girl with his giant hedgehog face.
What Sonic was that?
That was the first next-gen Sonic that was just called Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
It was the relaunch for the 360 and the PS3.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. Weirder than these things get.
You know what was also weird? The fact that Sonic Boom is going to be exclusive for the 3DS and the Wii U.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who lived through the 90s would remember the rivalry between Sega and Nintendo. It was fierce. So to see Sonic the Hedgehog appearing exclusively on Nintendo, it
boggles the mind.
It makes you wonder what the world's come to, frankly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember reading magazines at the time that showed brutal pictures from children of Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario beating up the other. Quite violently.
I drew a few of those, but I'd never sent them in.
Yeah. There are some of them in the studio with us right now, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Indeed. And that will conclude the first edition of Zeditorial. And thank you very much, Lee, for that analysis of Sonic Boom.
An absolute pleasure.
And that also brings us to the close of this episode of Zed Games. As usual, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next week at the same time. If you'd like more information about the show, please head to our blog, zgamesau.net, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. And with that, we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening. This has been Zed Games, recorded live in Brisbane on 4ZZZ and heard nationally thanks to the Community Radio Network. For more information on the show and to join the Zed Games community, head to our website, zedgamesau.net. That's spelt Z-E-D, or send us an email at contact@zedgamesau.net. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Zed Games is produced with the assistance of the Community Broadcasting Foundation.